In the opening scene, we see Eliza Sloan, an upcoming event planner working with one of the competitive firms in New York City. She is preparing for her big day at work and rehearses her lines for when she will be asked to give a speech after the announcement of her promotion. She feels excited about today as her expectations are quite high. After dressing up, Eliza rehearses her smile before she steps into the living room to pick up her bag. Her boyfriend, Todd, who is lying on the couch, wonders why she is so excited. Eliza reminds him of her promotion to the position of a junior executive event planner. He congratulates her in advance and gives her some encouraging words to boost her morale. She has worked hard for it and she deserves to be promoted after all the effort she has put into it. Todd pleads with her to assist him stretch the canvas before she runs off. He doesn't want to lose the inspiration he is getting and he would like to utilize it by painting something before he goes blank. Eliza explains she doesn't want to go late again, so she needs to run along. But seeing how he's insisting and she wouldn't want to be the reason he loses his inspiration, she decides to oblige him. Later, Eliza runs into her office as she's late again, but a few minutes after getting in, she comes back out with her properties all packed in a box. She feels it's unfair for her boss to fire her. She accepts her fault that she has been going to work pretty late, but then, she doesn't think she should be fired for it. She sulks as she carries her box home. On arriving at the house, she narrates the day's happenings to Todd and blames him for making her late for work, which led to her dismissal. He reminds her that they are both adults and she's responsible for her decisions. However, today seems to be going great for him. He heard back from the gallery and they intend on giving him his show. Despite how saddened she's feeling at the moment, Eliza congratulates him for the achievement. She is proud of him because she knows he's going to make it someday, but Todd drops some unpleasant news. He reveals that he will be moving in with Sandra, the gallery owner. For a moment, Eliza believes he is just trying to make her laugh, but seeing the seriousness on his face makes her realize that he means every word of it. She sighs in despair. Everything seems to want to crash land on her today. Eliza rests on the cushion, wondering why everything about her life decides to go wrong on the same day. Later in the day, Eliza decides to drown her sorrows away at the bar where her friend Sophia works. She downs several shots of alcohol hoping it will relieve her of her pain, but it's not working. Sophia tries to comfort her friend, but she feels Eliza isn't supposed to be surprised about Todd's behavior. He couldn't afford to pay the rent and she has been doing all that, but as soon as his career starts taking off, he decides to move in with another woman. Sophia reminds her that her last 4 boyfriends have been acting in that manner because Eliza keeps on taking strays in. She cleans them up and then changes their litter. She sees no reason why all her previous boyfriends should be faithful. Eliza cuts in requesting Sophia's comfort instead of berating her. Sophia reveals she's a million steps ahead of her friend as she drops a book titled, A Guide to Marrying Rich, on the table. She got the book from a lame Tinder date some time back. Though the book looks ancient, she believes it's a great guide because the author went from being a secretary to marrying one of the richest men in the world. Who could be better to write a book about marrying a rich man? Eliza complains about the book being too old. Plus, she doesn't want a man who would pay her bills. She just needs her job back. She makes a joke of her not wanting a rich man after losing her job because of a broke boyfriend. Sophia suggests they get away from New York for the summer. Just when Eliza reminds her that she can't just pack up and leave, besides she has a job, Sophia calls her boss to inform her that she quit the job. She intends to take charge of her life according to what the book says. After all, one gets to be 25 just once and they are already behind schedule. She encourages Eliza to quit sulking so they can go spend the summer in the Hamptons and come back to New York with their rich husbands. Sophia is quite optimistic they will return with some rich dudes because the book says to bet on themselves. The ladies get on the next flight to Hampton. Sophia suggests they stay at her aunt's pending when they get their rich boyfriends. Eliza thinks it will be a great idea if they can get a job so they can fend for their meals and other utilities. Still, Sophia doesn't consider it to be a necessity as she believes they will soon find a rich guy to pay for their meals. On opening the empty refrigerator, Eliza wonders how soon it will be until they find some rich guy. Later in the day, Sophia leads the way as they arrive at the Zane Hotel and Beach Club. It is one place everyone wants to be and she believes all the rich guys will be at the beach, so she leads the way down to the beach. Though she is wearing a bikini, Sophia still decides to put on her heels because her book says she shouldn't wait for a man to put her on the pedestal, but she should do it herself. That way when a man meets her, he'll get the idea. She suddenly takes a spin, causing her to fall on a guy's lap. Eliza watches as her friend sits comfortably on the guy's lap, and she introduces herself. To her surprise, the guy smiles at Sophia as well and he introduces himself as John Fuller. She decides to take a step back and allow Sophia to flirt all she wants before coming to join her. Sophia reveals that her move was strategic, even though Eliza thinks it's embarrassing. She continues talking about John, who is a major trust fund and number 74 on the Forbes list of rich under 30. She got to know all of this information because she did some homework. Eliza has a smile plastered on her face as she opens her mouth in surprise. She doesn't know how serious her friend is, and Sophia is showing her that she's just getting started. Somewhere around the beach, a young man working with Seine Hotel by the name of Doug is getting scolded by his superior for not properly separating the dirty towels from the clean ones. Meanwhile, Sophia and Eliza are sipping a drink. Sophia goes on and on talking about what her kids with John will look like. Meanwhile, Eliza suddenly spots Doug dressed in the hotel uniform going about his duties. She instantly takes a liking to him and Sophia rebukes her. She informs Eliza that he is a towel boy, so she should look past Doug to where Rich Hawthorne is standing. Being that she has conducted all the necessary research about all the wealthy guys around, Sophia reveals more about the orthopedic surgeon who just purchased his own $4.8 million townhouse. Eliza takes a look at this rich guy her friend is talking about, but she's not into the whole chiseled thing. She admires his hair though. Suddenly, John walks over to where Rich is, and the ladies exclaim seeing that their future husbands are friends. Eliza gets up intending to go introduce herself to Rich, but Sophia stops her because according to the book, her first meeting with the guy has to be memorable. She suggests that Eliza makes a memorable impression by pretending to drown when she goes for a swim. Then, when Rich comes to save her, she should take off her bikini top in the process because nothing can be more memorable than a display of some. Sophia laughs mischievously at her idea. A few minutes later, Eliza walks into the water and she starts calling for help in a not-so-serious manner. Sophia feels frustrated seeing what her friend is doing and she's not even willing to take off her bikini top. She lets out a sigh and allows Eliza to do her thing. Doug, who is on a phone call with his dad, sees Eliza from afar. He assumes she is really drowning, so he drops the call and runs into the ocean to save the damsel in distress. On getting to Eliza, who stops him from rescuing her, he realizes that she isn't drowning like she's pretending to be. Eliza feels embarrassed and reveals Sophia's plan. Sophia, on the other hand, continues making a sign to Eliza, who is blushing while speaking to Doug. When he tries to make a pass at her, Eliza informs him that he's not her type. She points at Rich and some other guys discussing. Doug feels rejected for a minute, but he offers to help her get their attention. He instantly pushes her into the water and the both of them start shouting for help loudly until they get the attention of the rich dude standing by the shore. Fortunately, Rich is the one to get to her first, so he pulls her out of the water. She stares at his handsome face and the both of them start giggling. He introduces himself to her in an attempt to strike up a conversation. Later, the ladies take a walk down the fruit market and Sophia reveals that their timeline will be so much crunchier since all the rich guys will be going to the city during the week. Eliza feels glad because they need to work, or else they'll spend their summer in Hampton feeding from people's garbage cans. She suddenly spots a vacancy advert. She pulls herself in. Left with no choice, Sophia whimpers as Eliza drags her into every building with a vacancy around that vicinity. She refuses to follow Eliza into the restaurant in search of a job, as it isn't what she dreamt of when coming to Hampton. Regardless, Eliza pulls her into the building and after a few questions, Salty, the owner of the place, hires the both of them. Eliza is excited she finally gets a job. She's happily serving some customers when Doug suddenly comes to make an order. He wonders if she's pretending to be a waitress this time around, but Eliza interrupts and suggests that he pretend they've never met before and the drowning thing never happened. He agrees to go by her suggestion and introduces himself all over again. They soon start talking about movies. She even feels like he's getting into her head because he's mentioning all the movies she is in love with. Sophia approaches Eliza and sees her friend chatting heartily with the towel guy. She feels irritated, so she decides to interrupt them by calling her to come over to her. Eliza assures her that she isn't into Doug. Sophia tells her to ensure he doesn't go beyond the friend zone area. Later in the evening, the ladies walk into a clubhouse in town. Sophia informs her friend that according to chapter 3 of her book, desirable women never pay for their cocktails. Eliza mocks her for thinking just by reading the book men will drop down from the sky and buy them a drink. Much to her astonishment, Rich and his friends approach them offering to buy drinks for them. Eliza seems to have caught Rich's attention as he is interested in her. He starts up the conversation in a bid to know more about Eliza and what she's into. Rich notices how she passionately talks about her career as an event planner. He just wishes his parents were cool as hers to let him just do whatever he wants. Sophia comes requesting to talk to Eliza privately. Sophia reveals to her friend that according to chapter 1 of the book, it's always best to leave a guy wanting more of them. Plus, she's drunk and horny, so they need to leave already. But Eliza is having a good time and wouldn't want her to ruin it. She requests to at least say goodbye to Rich unless her book says it makes her look desperate and undesirable. Sophia obliges her, but to their surprise, Rich is no longer there. Eliza is stunned. Coincidentally, Doug spots her while working his shift at the bar. They start talking, but Sophia cuts in, informing Eliza that Doug doesn't know he's in the friend zone. She pulls her along with her so they can leave instead of chatting with Doug. The following morning, the ladies are having a chit-chat about their dream-rich husbands. Suddenly, Sophia's door opens up to reveal a hot-looking guy without his shirt on. Eliza opens her mouth in surprise as her friend instructs the guy to go back inside the room as she isn't done with him yet. Sophia admits she's using the guy. She finds him attractive and she just can't wait before getting down with him. Eliza smiles at how dynamic her friend can be. She hopes Sophia will have a romantic story to tell her grandchildren about her and John. A car horn outside suddenly disrupts their discussion. Eliza smiles widely as she looks through the window to find Rich outside their house. Upon stepping out to join him, she teases him for stalking her and he apologizes for not calling her because she didn't give her number to him. However, he recalls her telling him about where she lives and that's how he got to locate her. He invites her to join him for a ride around to see the neighborhood. Rich asks Eliza to be his date for a big annual fundraiser called The Movers and Shakers, which will be happening the following weekend. Eliza laughs because she knows in her heart that he doesn't have to ask her before she accepts to be his date. On arriving at the house, Eliza excitedly informs Sophia about Rich's request. The both of them squeals in excitement because John also called Sophia earlier, requesting her to be his date to the same event. Sophia tells her friend never to doubt Margaret's book, as regards to leaving a man always wanting for more. She is already imagining the sound of her name when she takes John's surname. Their discussion gets interrupted again by a knock on the door. Eliza walks over to check out who might be there this time. She freezes on the spot with a smile on her face as Rich informs her that he forgot something. He pulls her neck close romantically and plants a kiss on her lips, making her world spin in love. Sophia watches in awe at how romantic Rich is. She covers her mouth with her book while seeing her friend fall helplessly in love to the ground. The next day, Sophia takes them shopping even though Eliza thinks the boutique is way out of their league. Eliza picks a dress but she gets scared seeing the number of zeros on the price tag. She opts to leave already but Sophia runs after her. She plans for them to take the dresses and return them the next day with their price tags still on. She urges Eliza to see it as borrowing since it will be returned. Eliza can't help but think her friend is super smart. So, she excitedly runs back in to pick up her dress. The day for the event arrives and the guys ensure they pick their girls up. Eliza feels like she's in a fairy tale, seeing how they are getting all the attention. While Sophia is dancing with John, Rich invites her to come spend the night with him at his parents' house. Unfortunately, a lady passing by sees the tag on Eliza's clothes. So, she assumes Eliza must have forgotten to take it off. She helps her to remove it and place it in the trash that's about to be disposed of. Eliza tries to understand what is happening for a few seconds before excusing herself, bolting after the guy before he disposes of the price tag. Unfortunately, she got out too late and the guy trashed it in the dumpster. She takes off her clothes and gets into the dumpster in search of her price tag until she gets interrupted by Doug, who comes to dispose of another waste. Doug helps her out and Eliza blames her stupidity on Sophia, who convinces her to pick this dress that costs more than her rent, and now the tag is missing. Doug watches her as she picks up the dress and walks away in her underwear while lamenting about her situation. The following day, the ladies are discussing the situation and Sophia tries talking Eliza out of believing she's a loser. Someone knocks and Sophia walks over in annoyance to open the door. Doug comes in and hands the tag to Eliza. Her joy knows no bounds as she jumps on him in an embrace. Just as she's hugging Doug, Rich comes in with a flower bouquet. Doug excuses himself and Rich decides to clear the air because he's getting some mixed feelings seeing her hug Doug. G thinks Doug is the reason she bailed out on him the previous night. Eliza explains her relationship with Doug and confesses that she does truly like Rich. The both of them end up reconciling in her bedroom. After making out, Rich prepares to leave. He invites her to come to spend the whole of Saturday with him on the yacht. Eliza thinks she's living a fairy tale as Rich kisses her goodbye before taking his leave. At work, Sophia threatens a coworker Ryan, who has been taking photos of her, because he thinks she looks like a model he knows. He makes flirty remarks which Sophia finds to be irresistible and, in a few seconds, they end up romancing in the kitchen. Eliza walks in on them. Ryan apologizes and asks to meet with Sophia later, but she replies to him with a very mean tone. Eliza rebukes her for being mean to him, making Sophia confess that Ryan has been helping her through, since John is refusing to make a move on her. She advises her friend to get herself a Ryan, in reply to Eliza's complaint about how underwhelming sex with Rich was. Salty chips in, suggesting she get herself a Doug instead. Just then, Doug approaches them. He asks that they go see an old movie Eliza loves so much. She's excited to go, but then she doesn't have a car nor does she know how to ride one. Doug proposes to work something out. He suddenly pulls up with the car, offering to teach her how to ride. After the driving session, they sit around a seashore to watch the sunset. Doug feels so caught up in his emotions in a split second he plants a kiss on Eliza's lips. She pushes him away, reminding him that she's with Rich so she can't try anything with him. He wonders what's so great about Rich, and questions if she will still be into Rich if he has nothing to his name. His question pisses her off, and she walks out on him in annoyance. The next day, Eliza and Sophia hang out around the beach. Sophia notices the tension between her friend and the towel guy, so she questions what happened between them. After Eliza reveals what Doug thinks of her, Sophia reminds her that if she doesn't hit it right with Rich's parents, there will be no gold for her. Eliza insists her love for Rich isn't all about the gold though, but she's worried Rich's parents might not like her. Sophia proposes she does as her book says. She gives her friend a few hints from chapter 7 of the book on how to handle parents. Eliza confesses confesses how good she felt the previous day when Doug kissed her, which makes Sophia exclaim a bit of surprise and annoyance. Doug is on a call with his dad and he explains the situation with Eliza because he likes her and they are both into movies from the 80s, but she's interested in someone else. He turns his head over to have a look at Eliza as he listens to his dad's advice on how to handle the situation. On a very cool evening, Eliza is on her date with Rich and his parents in the very same restaurant where Sophia is having her date with John. Eliza finds the conversation with Rich's parents quite uncomfortable, so she excuses herself to go use the ladies' restroom. Fortunately, she meets with her friend in the washroom. Eliza wishes to run off, but there's no window in the washroom through which she can escape. The lady who removed the price tag from her dress the other day suddenly walked into the washroom, offering them unsolicited advice regarding Eliza's situation. Sophia thanks her for her unsolicited advice and shows her book informing her that they have all the wisdom they need to handle their situation. Eliza gets back to join her potential future in-laws, and she gives them a speech on allowing Rich to do whatever job he loves to do, just like she had the option to choose something better, but she chooses event planning. Rich's parents love everything she's saying, but they believe their son's happiness has a lot to do with working in a good and well-paying hospital. After the date, Eliza goes to Rich's parents' house and spends the night in Rich's room. He commends her effort for making quite an impression before his parents and confesses his love for her. While Eliza smiles beautifully as he sings her praises, he soon makes his move on her. The next day, Eliza is going about her duties at work when Doug comes with his mouth taped. She removes it and he starts apologizing for the things he said to her the other day. He wants his friend back since she has established that she's in love with Rich. After she accepts his apologies, he requests her help in doing some things. She follows him to the dock and is surprised to see him handling a boat. She wonders if he wants to make her steal a boat like he stole a car for her to learn to drive. He reveals that a client hired him to keep his boat in tip-top shape, so he needs to give the boat a workout by sailing it to the man's house in Montauk. A storm soon starts. Thankfully, he knows what to do, so he saves the day. He leads them into a house and lights up the fire to provide them some warmth. He feels like sharing a blanket with Eliza might get his emotions high, so he decides to go get them some warm clothes. She pulls him back and initiates a kiss, and in a few minutes they land on the bed panting while making out. They get back to the dork the next day and Eliza starts feeling guilty for cheating on Rich. Doug feels terrible after hearing her confess her confusion about who to choose between him and Rich. Annoyed, he walks away, informing her to reach out to him when she makes a choice. At work, Eliza confesses the intercourse with Doug was great, but her conscience won't let go of her. She challenges Sophia for calling the incident with him a mistake when she gets to be with Ryan at free will. Unfortunately, Ryan walks by and hears Sophia saying he isn't worth two craps. He feels disappointed, so he drops the photo of her which he took, and walks inside to start his job for the day. Sophia turns and blames the situation on Eliza, who lashes back at her for not taking responsibility for her own crap. Salty and an elderly woman come over to advise them. Sophia is surprised when she discovers that she's Margaret Dumont, the author of the book she had been reading and acting on. Margaret admits how unsound her book is. She testifies how she was never truly happy after playing by the rules in the book. The next day, Eliza meets with Rich, and his parents happen to be in town, so they will be joining them for brunch. Catherine, Rich's mother, requests Eliza's help in planning for her 30th anniversary coming up the following week, and she's not willing to take no for an answer. Eliza finds herself caught in a difficult situation and there's nothing she can do, so she agrees to help. The preparations begin and Catherine falls in love with Eliza's taste in decor. She loves all of Eliza's ideas and everything is just fabulous. Later, Eliza hangs out with Sophia around the beach. Sophia shares how Ryan refused to sort things with her when she visited his new place of work. They see Doug, and Sophia advises her friend to go be a bitch, and then tells him she feels nothing for him. Doug doesn't believe everything Eliza is saying, but he decides to let her have her way. A new week arrives and preparations for Rich's parents' anniversary are ongoing. Seeing the work Eliza has put into the preparations, Catherine feels so excited. She informs Eliza that the owner of the Zane Hotel by the name David Zane is in town for her event. Eliza is happy to hear that Catherine is willing to introduce her to David. Just maybe her career can take a different turn. At the other side of the hotel, John's aunt is excited her cousin has finally gotten a girl he likes. After she leaves them, John appreciates her for putting up a fantastic act for his aunt. Sophia realizes that he isn't into her and he knows about Ryan, but she's willing to play along with him just so he will be cool with his aunt, and in return, he gets to buy her very expensive things. Eliza comes to interrupt their discussion and Sophia confesses she's in love with Ryan, so she needs to go find him, since John is gay, and they are never going to be together. Eliza reveals that Catherine told Rich never to let her go, and her son held on to her saying he won't, and now she thinks they are a thing. The ladies are excited about the new development. John comes to inform Eliza that Rich is searching for her. She tells him she will be there soon, but she needs to go use the restroom. Getting inside the restroom, Eliza starts practicing her reaction in case Rich pops the question. Margaret comes to her advising her not to say yes to someone she doesn't love unless she feels the magic between them. Later, Rich ends up proposing to Eliza, but she turns him down as she nervously explains why they can't be together. He feels she used him to get an opportunity to plan a big event and all the expensive dinners. She tries to make him understand that he's amazing, but they aren't just made for each other, as she's not feeling the magic between them. Sophia leaves the party and heads out in search of Ryan. She jumps on him immediately she sees him and kisses his lips passionately. She also apologizes for being mean. She makes amends with him as she explains the reason for her behavior and her failed modeling career. Ryan assures her that she's not as bad as she thinks. He needs to be sure that she really wants him and that she's not out to use him. Eliza runs into the kitchen and sees her friend entangled deeply kissing Ryan. She is in search of Doug, who seems to be nowhere in particular. David Zane walks into the kitchen, and he suspects she must be the Eliza he's been hearing of. David commends her great work at his hotel and offers her the position of event manager if she's interested in working for him. She turns down the offer even when Sophia intervenes. She insists that she won't be working for him because she has seen when he insulted Doug. She's not interested in working with someone who treats his employees like trash. David quietly watches her berate him. She picks up the boombox, saying she's going in search of Doug so she can confess how she truly feels about him. Eliza finally finds him by the beachside. She turns on the boombox and allows it to blast a love song. On getting to him, she reveals that she has ended things with Rich. She apologizes for the way she treated him and confesses how she feels about him, with every single cell in her body yearning for him. He accepts the apology and they lovingly kiss each other for some minutes before Eliza remembers to inform him of the opportunity David Zane offered her, which she rejected because she was defending him. Doug laughs and confesses that his dad will not falter for defending his son. He further reveals his full name to her, as well as the fact that he will start working in Zane Hotels as the vice president of operations in 2 weeks. Eliza is shocked as she listens to him explain how he made his dad promise not to blow his cover so he can familiarize himself with the environment before assuming his position. She laughs, realizing that he's loaded and he lied to her. Doug kisses her and, in a moment, she completely forgets that he lied to her.